Alright, so let me begin by painting a picture for you guys. So imagine if a drug that your doctor was prescribing you actually wasn't the best one for your illness. And you were taking that drug every single day, paying tons of money for it, and ultimately you're going to end up with a big dependency on it. Many of Americans are going through this, but they don't even know it's happening. And the culprit behind this issue is the pharmaceutical industry as a whole, otherwise known as Big Pharma. So my name is Latham, and today I'm going to be talking about the dark side of the pharmaceutical industry and how they are doing bad things through drug marketing, unnecessary price increases, and merely treating the symptoms with the drugs that they make. So one major unethical side of the pharmaceutical industry is the drug marketing, whether it takes place directly to the consumer or to the doctors themselves. So the US is one of the only countries in the world that still allows drug marketing directly to the consumer. So we've all seen those TV ads that are advertising antidepressants or something for like shingles or something along those lines. But not many people know about the marketing that takes place behind the scenes, which is to the doctors. So in his article on Forbes magazine, Dr. Dale Archer kind of goes through these interactions with the drug representatives that work for the drug manufacturing companies. And he describes them like this. So every day he would see these charismatic, enthusiastic, good-looking drug manufacturer representatives. And they were always constantly in the office trying to essentially build relationships with the doctors, whether it was over buying them dinner or setting up promotional material or doing conferences where the doctors would get compensated to go to. So hanging out with these representatives would benefit doctors in some way. And they all knew it was wrong because their job is to protect the patient, and they took oaths to protect the patient, but there was a lot of benefit coming to them for selling these new drugs that the representatives wanted them to sell. And he says that the line between what's best for the patient and selling what's new in the drug world and the hottest drug out among the representatives has been really blurred over time. And another big thing is the budgets that pharmaceutical companies have for marketing versus, say, research and development. So on average, the average pharmaceutical manufacturer spends about 3 times more on drug marketing than they do on researching and developing new drugs. So it kind of makes you think, if the United States is one of the only countries in the world that still allows drug marketing directly to the consumers, why is that? Shouldn't a drug sell for its inherent use other than like how well it's marketed? So keep that in mind as I move forward. So another major unethical side of the pharmaceutical industry is the price increases, and it's just because they seem blatantly unnecessary. So a CNBC article describes how CVS outright blames drug manufacturers for price increases. Now, 2 prime examples of drugs that have increased prices dramatically are insulin and EpiPen. So insulin, in 2012, it was about $3,000 for a unit. And now, in 2016, so about 4 years later, it skyrocketed to about $6,000. So doubled in price. And EpiPen in 2007 was about $57. And in 2016, it's now about $500. So right there you can see these price increases dramatically. So in the same CNBC article, William Fleming the president of healthcare services at Humana, describes that drug manufacturers are the ones who set the list price, and pharmacies have nothing to do with it. And these price increases just show that they are just trying to boost their revenue, because the cost has remained the same for these drugs to make them. And the only thing that's changed is how much these drug manufacturers are putting into their marketing. So these price increases can show that they are trying to offset that amount of money that they're putting into marketing by trying to gain more revenue. But mainly it shows that they have pretty much malicious intent, taking advantage essentially of vulnerable patients, because these drugs are needed to live for these people, whether it is for diabetes or for an EpiPen, for an allergic reaction. The demand is there, so people are going to buy it regardless of the price. And just the fact that they're taking advantage of vulnerable patients like this shows their malicious intent. Another flaw of the pharmaceutical industry is pretty much a flaw of Western medicine as a whole, and that is suppressing the symptoms without treating the root cause of the illness. So a good example of this would be cold and flu medications like Dayquil, NyQuil, that just treat like your nasal congestion or your sore throat without actually treating the imbalance, the root of the sickness. And this kind of leads to overdiagnosis of illnesses, a big one being ADHD, and the over-medication of it. So according to the CDC in 1990, there were about 600,000 kids on ADHD medicine. Now, on the other hand, there's about 3.5 million. So that is a staggering increase in over-medication. Another big thing about just treating the symptoms is, say, for painkillers, for example, you have people who have, say, a hurt back and they're on opioids, and they are taking these things every day, and they're building these huge dependencies on these drugs, which can be even worse than having a hurt back altogether. So the pharmaceutical industry does indeed make a lot of really, really useful drugs. But after a lot of analysis, there are some flaws with the industry. Like, why are they spending so much on marketing? Why are they increasing the price needlessly? And why are they making drugs that merely treat the symptoms without targeting the root cause of the illness? So, what can you do? First off, I would begin to ask more questions about the drugs that your doctor is prescribing you. Next, you can visit cms.gov to look into the ties between your doctor and the representatives of the drug manufacturers that are approaching him on a day-to-day basis. Then you can look into a holistic or alternative medicine, whether it's changing your diet, changing your sleep habits, say meditation or something. And then begin to take a preventative approach to medicine. So treating your body well. Stay healthy, everyone. Thank you.